Hi guys, Charlatan and Brexiteer David Frost. Remember him, the one who convinced people that the oven-ready deal was oven-ready, convinced people it was the deal of the century, and helped Boris Johnson win an 80-seat majority based on lies. Then a year and a half later trashed his own deal and blamed everyone from the EU for not interpreting it correctly to Theresa May for tying his hands. Well, the charlatan has moved on from Brexit to the next grift, convincing people that it's pointless mitigating climate change, we need to adapt to it. And how do we do that? Well, handing over money to the fossil fuel industry. Have a listen.
My Lords, I declare an interest as an unpaid trustee of the Global Warming Policy Foundation, an educational charity in this area.
Who? The Global Warming Policy Foundation, which is, according to Wikipedia, located at 55 Tufton Street. Where did we hear that name before? Yes, 55 Tufton Street. Now, if we go to funding, it says here, the foundation has rejected freedom of information requests to disclose its funding sources on at least 4 occasions. It goes on to say, in May 2022, Open Democracy reported that tax filings in the US revealed that the Global Warming Policy Foundation had taken money from US dark money sources, including $620,259 from the Donors Trust between 2016 and 2020. The Donors Trust has in return received significant funding from the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers, of course, are a group of billionaire brothers who have given money to the Republican Party in the US, right-wing organizations, or are at least connected to right-wing organizations in Britain and the US, and climate change deniers in both Britain and the US. So this is who it seems David Frost is speaking on behalf of.
Now, when people like me argue about the costs of mitigating climate change, we are often told there is no choice. Not acting costs even more. Now, I question that. Of course, temperatures are increasing slowly, and that will have consequences. But there is another choice, and that's what we're debating today, adaptation.
They can no longer deny that the temperatures are going up. So instead of trying to say, well, we don't need to do anything, instead, what they're trying to do here is say, well, we shouldn't spend money on renewable energy. We need to adapt to climate change. So we just have to sit back and relax and just take what comes. And in doing so, we need to extract more gas from the North Sea, for example. We need to extract more oil. We need to ignore renewables. We just have to, invest more in gas and oil, for example.
Now let's look at the relative costs and benefits of the two routes, and let's look at the macro level first. The government's the Skidmore net zero review earlier this year asserted that the costs of mitigation would be 1 to 2% of GDP per year. That's about 25 to 50 billion pounds sterling, though other studies say it will be quite a lot more than that. Now, moreover, unless everybody else in the world is willing to bear the same costs, us spending that much will have precisely 0 effect on the global climate.
Brexit is costing 4% of GDP. He's complaining here about 1% of GDP. To mitigate the damage of climate change, he's saying it would cost about 1 to 1.5% of GDP. And he has a problem with that. He doesn't have a problem with Brexit. He campaigned for that. I don't know if he campaigned, but he definitely supports Brexit now. I think he was a Remainer who jumped on board the Brexit bus. But he has no problem with spending 4% of GDP to handle Brexit, to deal with the consequences of Brexit, which doesn't actually have to happen. But with climate change, no, we don't want to go down the road of mitigating it. We just need to adapt.
In contrast, look at adaptation. Now, it's not easy to find hard figures about the costs of adaptation, but if
you can't find any data, then why are you supporting it? Of course, the reason you're supporting it is because these people support it. These charlatans.
If you look at the 2021 technical report on this, prepared for the Climate Change Committee in 2021, it shows that the costs of adaptation are only £8 billion a year by 2050, 13 to 20 billion non-discounted as far out as 2080. And hopefully by then, that is a very small proportion of our GDP.
So he has some numbers about, well, adapting. It would only cost, instead of 25 billion, I think he said, it would cost 8 billion. But where would this 8 billion be going?
Now, the orders of magnitude of those figures surely suggest that adaptation might actually be a more productive route than mitigation. And I certainly therefore agree with the Noble Lord Krebs that more will need to be spent on things like flood protection and reservoirs. Let's also look at one example at the micro level, also mentioned by the Noble Lord Krebs, the calls for Britain to adapt to the health consequences of rising temperatures. But dig in deeper at what are those consequences of the hotter, warmer summers and warmer, wetter winters. At the moment, 7 times as many people die from cold as from heat as in Britain. Rising temperatures are likely to be beneficial. The Government Actuary Department, no less, wrote in April this year, and I quote, "It is the low winter temperatures that have a greater effect on the number of deaths. Since the start of the millennium, a decline in deaths from cold temperature periods has more than offset any increase in the number of deaths associated with warmer temperature."
So what he's trying to say is here that, well, temperatures are rising, so it means that winters are not going to be so severe. But they're not. It's not just about temperature we're talking about. We're talking about the impact of climate change, more flooding. Is that going to be covered? He's trying to say that, well, temperatures will rise, so it doesn't matter. It means fewer people will die from the cold. But many reasons many people die from the cold are due to Tory policies, not just climate change. You have this Tory minister, or ex-Tory minister, Tory Lord, standing up in the House of Lords saying, temperatures are rising, so fewer people are going to die from the cold. Isn't that great? So that gets us off the hook, really.
Over the same period. Now, my lords, I'm not sceptical about adaptation. I'm sceptical about mitigation. I suggest that the rational thing to do is to move away from the current high-cost mitigation efforts which also involve massive investment in unproductive renewables, huge changes in lifestyles, as well as crushing economic growth, and pursue mitigation in a different way, investing in effective energy production, nuclear, gas, other technologies as they emerge.
There we go. There we go. See? What did I say? That's what it's about. It's about these shadowy organizations that are funded by shadowy people, and then these shadowy organizations have idiots like this stand up in the House of Lords and promote them, promote their ideas, promote their ideology, promote their business model. Why are so few people calling this out? It's like so simple. He stands up in the House of Commons, he says, my interests include this organization. This organization, according to Open Democracy, has received funding from the Koch brothers in the US, indirectly. They don't want to give out information about who funds them. They're supposed to be a charity, And then he stands up in the House of Lords and says, we shouldn't be spending money on renewables, we should be spending money on fossil fuels. We shouldn't be trying to mitigate climate change, we should be adapting to it. And it's cheaper as well. This is a serious problem, guys. This is the type of corruption I'm talking about. It's not just brown envelopes in politicians' pockets. He's not getting paid directly for this. I don't know what he's getting out of it. If he's getting something on the side, if there's some other way that he's been paid to do this. Obviously, he's getting some sort of benefit out of this. I don't know what it is. He's not getting it directly from this charity. But something sinister is going on here, and it needs to be called out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.